So I wanted to do a Whizbang Wednesday on a knife, and I thought about doing it on a short, but I don't think I could have conveyed some of the things I wanted to about this knife on a short, so I'm just going to do a short long form video. So I ended up purchasing a knife on an eBay lot probably about a year ago, maybe even a little bit more. And it wasn't by means any lot that I think had anything fantastic in there. In all regards, I don't even recall what the other things that were in the lot. And it was just a handful of knives. And I won the lot for, I think, $23. And that was shipped. So definitely the seller didn't make a lot of money on there. But I bid on it because I saw this. And the Case's new release of their upcoming knife, the Slipjoint, the axe handle Slipjoint, made me think to myself and say, I have an axe handle Slipjoint. And I didn't know exactly who the maker was when I looked at it. Well, maybe I should hold it the right way. When you look at it intuitively, you think, oh, it's upside down because the bat's upside down. But in the bat's world, that's a right way to be. So this knife, no pins. This is all put together with machine screws. But it is not a factory knife neither. Beautiful rosewood scales. One of the first things, aside from the scales and the shield, that I noticed was a see-through nail nick, which now you see it everywhere because Case released theirs and you see that see-through nail nick, but this predates that release, at least from my understanding or thinking about it. But in looking at this knife, one of the first things I noticed when I opened it up is that Hamon that is on the edge. If you guys can see what I'm talking about, those who don't know what that is, that's a differential heat treatment in the blade. Basically, you apply some kind of heat-resistant material, usually clay. I think Japanese samurai swords, they would do that to soften the spine or keep it from getting too hot, so you'd have a softer spine and a harder cutting edge. And then when you heat treat it, because metals that are different they're hardened at different levels, they oftentimes will receive an etch a little bit differently. So whoever did that, it was a handmade knife. I just, myself being a knife maker, myself, I could see some of the indicators of that, and this definitely was not somebody who was, I guess, a stranger around knife making. And if this was their first endeavor, if you're watching this and you haven't made more, you should make some more. But I don't see a maker's mark or anything unless that was their intended mark on there. But that just seems to me a little odd because those can come off. But that axe handle on there, that design is just absolutely, in my mind, breathtaking. I think that's a fantastic shape. I think it's a very usable shape. I can feel where the axe handle benefits, but what makes it stand out is where it holds, where you grab it and it holds in place right there in your palm. And I got some pretty big hands, and I'm holding this very comfortably, and I have no problem having any problems whatsoever choking up on this and putting all of it there without having any fingers off the handle. And I feel like if I needed to, I could really cut something that I could cut through thick rope with a lot of forward effort or a lot of force, because I can get a good grip on that handle. You know, I did take this apart completely. I was curious. I was real curious if I could find any markings, any signatures on the inside, and I couldn't. You know, I did find that it does have washers in there, and they look like silicone washers or bronze, very thin, but it makes for really smooth action. It does have half stops, good snap. It does ride a little bit in favor over to the show side, and that's why I took it apart. I was trying to fix it, but nothing I could do I wasn't able to fix that. The only fix I think would be to bend the blade up here a little bit slightly, and I'm not going to do that. It causes a little bit of strike up there in the front at times. So I guess, you know, if I polish that out, I could, yeah, I could still feel it kind of touching on that. So I'm just going to leave it. But I wanted to show you guys this and see what your guys' thoughts were as collectors. Am I way off? Did I somehow miss a Google search or an image search? Is this a mass-produced Chinese knife? Or have you guys seen it? Have you guys seen anything similar? I'd like your guys' thoughts on this. I would appreciate your guys' thoughts on this, because I'm only going off what I know, and I'm assuming, based off of what I know, that this was a custom knife. And I don't know, in looking at the detail, like how that was perfectly fitted into that handle, that just does not seem like something that it is a automated process whatsoever. I try to look close. I got to get a set of magnifying lenses to look through, but I think the eyes and the mouth are like a dark CA glue, possibly. I don't think they're the wood. If they were, that would be absolutely amazing, but I honestly know they're not. But everything else, where it meets up, where it fits in there, I don't think anyone could have did a better job than that. Now, I'm going to be a little critical here, aside from the blade being a little bit off. Whoever did this didn't countersink the shelves on the pins correctly, so the pins don't sit correctly on this right here, and it rests solely on that rosewood. So I'm afraid that within time, unless that's fixed, and I'll probably end up fixing it, that's going to blow through that scale, and I'm going to have a scale that separates from the knife itself. And the only way that I know that I could possibly fix that is to create a dowel out of that same rosewood knowing, and this is knowing, that it's going to be hidden, so it doesn't need to be perfectly matched up, and then putting in a countersink on each side, the proper depths, or rather, just on this side, the other side is flat. But I'll only be willing to dedicate the time to doing that if I kind of had an idea of what this knife is. But anyways, I really, thinking about Whizbang Wednesday, this knife always has come to mind because I have no idea what it is, at least by maker-wise or manufacturer-wise. And again, I don't think it's a manufactured knife. It has to be a custom knife. And this is one of those knives that I take out every once in a while and I just look at it because it feels good in the hand. It's good to look at. And it has really smooth transitions. There's no hot spots or anything. This knife, I won't say it's one of my favorites, but I like it enough where I wouldn't get rid of it. But anyways, James, Warrior Works, this has been Whizbang Wednesday. Please let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you.